Hi everyone, I'm Mohamad Dakak. I'm gonna talk to you today about my typeface that I designed for wayfinding signage. I recently finished the MA course in the University of Reading in typeface design, and this is where I designed the typeface that I'm gonna talk to you about today. During my year in Reading, I worked on the typeface Jali, which is a typeface for wayfinding signage. Jali is a big family with different weights and styles, including a display style and variant weights for text setting. Today I'm going to focus only on the semi-bold, which is intended to be the main style for wayfinding signage. At the beginning, I would like to talk about my motivations to design a typeface for wayfinding signage. Traveling and living in different countries in the Middle East, one of the most confusing issues for me was the quality of the Arabic typefaces on the wayfinding signage. In many cases, I have found myself preferring to move to the English side of the signs because of the low quality of the Arabic typefaces. This is a road sign in Dubai, for example. You can see the very small counters in the letters, very small marks and dots, which shows that obviously this typeface was not even designed to be used in wayfinding signage. The same case can be seen in many other places. This is an airport in Doha, where you can see how tight the spacing is between the letters, and an airport in Dubai where both cases can be seen, small counters and tight spacing. Road signs in Saudi Arabia, which shows the same issues, and which is disappointing and even surprising of how these typefaces are widely used in wayfinding signage in the Arab world. But the functional issues were not the only thing that bothered me about these typefaces, but also the style that was applied. In some way, these typefaces looked very linear for me, and it's as if a line was drawn on the baseline and letters were just drawn at the top or at the bottom of this line. While for me, Arabic was something different, something that is connected in a fluid way that shows how Arabic letters are connected. This is a logotype by Christian Sarkis, which shows the qualities that I'm trying to explain, and you can see how fluid and natural the connection is between the letters. And this is another example of how Arabic letters are well treated. Another category, if I may call it, which is less popular but more recent, is the one that mimics the Latin script, its structure and even its letter shapes. This category felt even more odd to me because even when it offers a better relation with the Latin script, it gives a significant distortion to the structure and even the letter shapes of the Arabic script on the other side. Here there is an example of how designers are so keen on having similar details between Latin and Arabic that they are ready to even present new letter shapes in Arabic. For example, the Ra that originally has the same lower part as the Waw now has a new shape just in order to look like the letter J in Latin. The same issue can unfortunately be seen in many recent typefaces, to the point that sometimes you're not sure if you're looking at Arabic letters or English letters. Here, the top three typefaces do not only take the letter shapes from the Latin script, but they also import its modulation, which leads to a total loss of the identity of the Arabic script, only for the benefit of having a harmonious relationship with the Latin script. Observing the issues in these two categories allowed me from the beginning of the year to take some important decisions of how I want to design my typeface. The first decision was that I wanted to have a natural representation of the Arabic script. The second was about the relation between the Latin and the Arabic, where I wanted to avoid any forced structure or importing any letter shapes from the Latin into the Arabic. I decided that I want the harmony between the two scripts to be based on three main attributes, which are type personality, the general weight or color, and the level of functionality. For type personality, I wanted a typeface that is modern, natural, and inviting. I also wanted to have a balance between neutrality, which is important for a typeface to be implied in variety of environments, and enough personality, which is important to give the typeface its identity. Getting the same voice in Arabic and Latin required a lot of explorations and discussions with my directors and colleagues until I was able to get to a satisfactory result. However, in my opinion, because these are abstract attributes At the end, the result represents the personal point of view to some level. For the second attribute, which is the general weight or color, I would like to reflect on few details regarding achieving the similar weight between Arabic and Latin. As for a typeface that needs to be highly legible from a distance, having a low contrast was very crucial, because the thinner parts in a stroke get easily unclear from a distance. However, achieving this low contrast in Arabic and Latin meant different treatments between the two scripts, as the Arabic has a very focused stress on the baseline where the letters connect. This doesn't happen in the Latin in the same way, which gives the impression at the first look that Arabic is heavier at the baseline. However, Arabic compensates for that because the relatively more complex shapes in Arabic allows the Arabic letters to have longer thinning parts in many letters. Also, the relatively random relationship between Arabic letters allows for more white spaces between letters, which only happens occasionally in the Latin script. Considering these differences between the two scripts allowed for an overall similar weight between the two scripts, even when applying different treatment for details. The third attribute was having a similar level of functionality between the two scripts, because I didn't want readers to have to look to the Latin side anymore in order to have a better legibility for letters. I hope that this example allows the Arabic readers in the audience to compare how functional both scripts are. This actually takes me to the general features I had to apply in able to get this level of functionality. The main feature was applying large counters in Arabic and Latin, a relatively large x height in Latin, which does not apply exactly in Arabic, as Arabic letters don't actually have a unified x height, which makes the adjustment of the proportions more tricky. But I'm gonna come back to this point at a later stage. Another feature was to have large dots and marks. Notice the size of the Hamza, for example, wide numerals in Arabic and Latin, outstrokes in L and I in the Latin, because this would give the letter a wider space and will allow more clarity from a distance. In testing, I found that Arabic letters with teeth were the easiest to get confusing from a distance. That's why I had to give more significance to these letters. Going back to the adjustments of the Arabic letters, this is a comparison to help noticing the level of condensation I had to apply to the Arabic letters. However, this condensation was really tricky because I had to keep a level of differentiation that is crucial in distinguishing different letters from each other. For example, the dal and the lam here, while the dal is actually a disconnected letter, on a distance this space might disappear, and if the dal is a bit longer than this, it might be confused with the lam. At the same time here, it's worth noticing that also the dal had to be different from a ba, because I didn't want the dal to be misrecognized for a teeth letter, for example. Testing, of course, was very crucial at this area to help me make the right decisions. From here, I'm gonna move to some of the main challenges that faced me in the process of the design and how I tried to solve them. The main challenge was in the relatively higher vertical space that Arabic takes than the Latin, which comes mainly from the marks and dots that are applied on top or the bottom of the Arabic letters. In this example, I'm using myriad typeface in Arabic and Latin to show the difference between the highest and the lowest letters in both scripts. And you can notice that the difference is very obvious. This is even without considering the vocalization marks that would make the difference even bigger. However, ignoring the vocalization marks was a decision that I took from the beginning, because the context where Jali will be used is not one that needs the vocalization marks. It is known for the Arabic reader that vowels occasionally come in the text to make some clarifications. For example, they can come to differentiate the tense of the verb, as here between kataba and kutiba. However, this is not the case in wayfinding signage. For example, no Arabic reader would need vowels on makhraj to know that it's not mukhrij, which is a director, for example, because the words are expected. And in wayfinding signage, we are usually dealing with expected descriptions or names of places or destinations. We can see the proof in signs from Oman to Dubai to Saudi Arabia and Morocco. Like, no one would really need to have vocalization marks on signage. However, even when disregarding the vocalization marks, the length difference is still significant. For example, the Arabic in myriad typeface is getting close to be the double of the length in the English. So few solutions in Jali came to make this difference less by mainly dealing with these highest and lowest letters. For example, a shorter alif was used in when the hamza is applied in order to shorten the level of the hamza, while the final ya took a very compact shape compared to the original shape. While applying these solutions, I had to also to make sure that other letters, even in other languages than Arabic, are still in the same level. For example, the Farsi pe and gaf were all kept at the same level as well. When comparing these levels with languages that use the Latin script while applying diacritics, the proportion is 1.2 for the Arabic compared to the Latin. However, when considering only the English with the Arabic, which would probably be the case in most of the Arabic countries, the proportion is 1.3, which is still a good result in my opinion. To include more typefaces in the comparison, here's Adobe Arabic, which is one of my favorite typefaces designed by Tim Holloway, and in my opinion it is highly functional. It comes at 1.45, and Frutiger, which is highly functional and popular in Latin for wayfinding signage, comes at 1.55 for the Arabic. And the last example is just to show that a typeface with traditional proportions comes actually in even higher length. The next challenge that I would like to talk about is the line width. In testing, it was obvious that a generous spacing between letters is very important to achieve high legibility for the words. This actually led to the fact that Jali is actually wider than the usual. Here's a comparison between Jali and Adobe Arabic. In order to compensate for that, I tried to apply a large set of ligatures, which are very conventional in Arabic. And the benefit of these ligatures is actually that they save space in some way. However, there was a little challenge here because some ligatures were found in testing to make some confusions. For example, in the ligature of the qaf and alif maqsura, which comes in this shape, and here I'm using another typeface just to show the example of the original ligature shape. I found that the highlighted area is actually confusing from a distance because in some way these details become unclear from a distance and they might be confused for a qaf. So the solution in Jali was to actually push that area to the left to distinguish it from the single final qaf. Another example is the noon and alif maqsura, which is pretty much the same case as the ligature gets confused with the final noon. And in Jali, I had almost to disregard this ligature because it became almost insignificant from a distance. And as I'm getting to the end of this presentation, I would like to bring one point to discussion, which is the quality of modernity in Arabic typefaces. Many recent Arabic typeface designs try to reflect the idea of modernity by importing some attributes from the Latin script. But when we try to analyze what attributes are represented in these typefaces, we find out that beside the imported letter shapes, the main feature is actually obvious in trying to apply the Latin structure to the Arabic script and trying to take all the Arabic letters very close to that X height. This is beside trying to implement the modulation of the Latin script into the Arabic. However, none of these features is actually a modern attribute, but they're all simply Latin. If we think about the X height, for example, the Latin letter shapes, or even its modulation, they've been with the Latin script since even the manuscripts. So considering these features to be modern and trying to implement them on Arabic is, in my opinion, a big misconception. Applying these features is not only irrelative to the Arabic script, but it also harms the look of the script in some way. If, for example, we look at this comparison, we'll find that in Adobe Arabic, the letters have more distinguished shapes because of the difference in length, in width, in modulation, and in the letter shapes. However, in the top three typefaces, because these designs try to bring the regularity of the Latin script. These letters actually start to lose their distinguishing and start to look similar. This issue becomes more serious from a distance, where these letters would look almost the same for the reader. Another issue that this approach brings is the issue of consistency. When we look at the letters kha and dal, for example, in two different typefaces, we'll find that they look almost the same, while the ghain and fa look almost the same in other two typefaces. However, in Adobe Arabic, again, there is no way for this confusion, as the typeface respects the original shapes of these letters. And before ending up, I would like to summarize the points that shaped my vision during the design process. The first thing is considering type design as an extension to the script development and not as a different shape of the script. And the second point is regarding the relationship between the scripts, where accepting that scripts are different is very crucial in my opinion. And the goal should be to try to make these scripts work nicely together, but not necessarily to match. The other point is functionality and how crucial it is in design decision. Having the case of the ligatures as an example, informing what to implement and what to adjust and what to eliminate. And the final point is that, in my opinion, modernity should be found within the script by corresponding to recent issues or contexts. But that doesn't mean that we need to import the structure or the letter shapes from another script. And while ending with a quote from Mahatma Gandhi, I would like to thank you for your time. Please feel free to contact me on my email for any thoughts.